live. Oh, sorry. Coming to you live from Homestead-Miami Speedway. I got a little excited. We haven't been racing in a week, but we are live from Homestead-Miami Speedway for round number 4 of the 3-Wide Racing DD Series. I'm Johnny Thomas. This is 3-Wide TV. Alongside me, like always, is Richard Lafferty. Down in the pits, we'll have Kyle Hanshaw being our in-race reporter, like always, and a man behind the scenes, Carlos Acosta. Pretty much doing everything that we can't do, and we're just talking. But this is race number 4 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Last week we had an off week. It was Super Bowl Sunday, so we didn't race. 2 weeks ago, Todd Smith went to Victory Lane at Chicagoland to pick up his 2nd win of the season and just only the 3rd race of the season. So Todd's 2 for 3, and I'd like to welcome Richard here with me. And Homestead-Miami Speedway is a kind of a tricky track, Richard. From your experience here, what's kind of some of the advice you'd give these guys?
Good to be here again, Johnny. Yeah, Homestead's definitely a tricky track. I've struggled racing here. I feel like it's hard to get a handle on, or at least hard to be really fast on. So I guess just try to be consistent and try to keep the tires on the thing and just make good laps. Don't do anything stupid.
I think the biggest things we've talked about all this year is tire wear. I feel like we're always constantly talking about that. But the cool thing about the schedule and the 6 races, I know we got 3 mile-and-a-half tracks in that schedule, but those 3 are pretty big on tire wear. So if you want to get any type of edge going into the season or any type of confidence, you got to have good races on these mile-and-a-halves with tire wear. Homestead is the same. It's a track that the tires burn up pretty quick over a good 5 to 10 lap run, and I think that gives a good idea on some of these guys that can race on these tracks that have a lot of tire wear. And Richard, as you see with the leaderboard, Thomas Morris is out front, Tate Lytle's 2nd, 3rd Michael Whitley. Is it going to be the same cast of characters up here, considering we're going to another mile-and-a-half track when tire wear is a big issue?
Yeah, you got to think it's going to be the same fast guys. We're good to see Thomas Morris up in first place here in practice. It's a little bit higher than he's been the last couple of weeks. Saw Levi get a little loose right there. I'm not sure what the setup's going to look like tonight. A good chance to run any laps this week. But you got to expect the same guys. You see Tate 3rd and 2nd. He's been a consistent top 3 guy all season, except for the time he had a little bit of trouble. So you got to think it's going to be the same guys every week up in the front, and then the rest of these guys just hoping they can figure some stuff out and get caught up a little bit as the season goes on.
Yeah, we were talking to Hanshaw before we came on the air, and Hanshaw said the car's pushing, so we're going to expect a tight condition, and that's kind of the norm for this whole season so far is tight race cars. So although I see people getting loose coming out of turn 4, you saw Skylar Nissel, I think, just get loose. From your experience, have you noticed the tight condition or loose condition?
And yeah, just from the little bit I've gotten to see here, it does look like the car may be a little tight through the center and then a little snappy loose, definitely off board there, like we just saw with Levi and with Skylar, like you said.
Well, we got 11 minutes here in practice. Like always, we're going to have 2 laps of qualifying. Then we'll set the field for Homestead. We'd like to get some points here. Since Todd Smith won the last 2 races, or 2 out of 3 races, he is obviously first in points. 2nd, I think, is Luis Salmaso. And 3rd, surprisingly, and I like to give this guy some credit because he struggled last year and came on strong, but now he's 3rd in points in the DD series, and that's Rusty Webb. As you see, Rusty is 14th on the speed chart right now. But I've been impressed, Richard, with Rusty these first 3 races.
Yeah, no doubt. Like we've talked about through the first couple races of this DD series, He's looked all right. He had a really good finish in our first race in Charlotte, and even towards the end of last season, it seemed like he was starting to get some stuff figured out. So I don't know if he's just trying to give himself a lot more track time during the week, but it seems like whatever he's doing, it's working.
Yeah, I don't think we have talked to Rusty at all this year. I'm going to bring him up to the booth and see what he has to say about his season so far in Homestead. Rusty, you got a copy?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Rusty, we've been talking about you. It seems like you've been consistent so far all this year. We noticed you're third in points. That's a great run so far. Can you give us an idea on your confidence level heading into Homestead and kind of what's in store for Homestead with you this week?
I'm not real sure about Homestead. It's not my favorite track, but we're gonna give it a shot here and try to finish in the top 5 anyways.
You got to have a lot of confidence being P3 in points. Do you think you can get this championship? I know we got 3 races left. We got Homestead, then we go to a short track with Richmond and Talladega. Anything can happen at Talladega.
Yeah, I think Todd and Lewis are gonna be hard to beat, but I'm sure we're gonna give them a run.
All right, Rusty. Well, we wish you the best of luck in Homestead and the future of this DD series. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, have a good time, guys.
That's Rusty Webb driving the 88 car for 3OG Racing. He was originally from Back Row Racing, and that was one of the stories we had, Richard, this year is Brent Miller going down to a 1-car team in the 3 Wide Series, and he released Rusty Webb, and Rusty Webb ended up being hired by 3OG, Paul Ross's team.
Yeah, 3OG's definitely had a lot of driver movement. Anybody that follows the league or is part of the league on Twitter has definitely seen that. Our league admin, Corey, used to be a part of 3OG. He's left now to form a new team. And a lot of movement over there at 3OG. I guess they're trying to get a little more competitive as the league gets more competitive.
Yeah, they got a heck of a lineup this year with Luis and Sam, now Rusty, and then obviously Paul, he was the champion last year in the B-Car Series. But speaking of 3 Wide, if you guys want to check it out, tomorrow we have our first race of the year, the Triple Crown Series. I'm pretty sure it's on Max Speed TV tomorrow night. So if you guys want to check it out, if you're not racing in the race, come on by about 10:15. I think the race will start tomorrow. I don't know where we're racing, but it is the Rallycross Series. So it's either going to be Iowa, Daytona. Where else does the Rallycross go, Richard? Do you know?
I think Phoenix.
Phoenix, that's right.
I don't know, there might be another one too. Those cars are fun. If you haven't done that yet, you're part of iRacing. Definitely suggest it's a good time.
Yeah, based on the couple practices we've had, I think it's going to be. It seems like Peter Short has been fast, Cam's been fast, and I'm sure somebody else will pop up in there tomorrow because I feel like the starts are so important in the Rallycross, where if you have one mistake coming off the start, it's going to be really, really hard to recover. So I'm expecting a surprise guy up in that top 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like you got to keep the car clean. Road racing's hard. I know I'm not very good at it. I think Johnny's not a big fan of it. And then you add in dirt racing to the road racing, and one little mistake, and I think these guys up front are so good that you won't get a chance to make up for it.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a cool thing iRacing has added, and I'm happy that 3 Wide is kind of bringing it on board. It's a lot better than actual road racing, in my opinion. I like the dirt aspect of it, and hopefully it'll be a success. I know we got about 15 or 16 guys entered to run it, so that's going to be a big field for Rallycross, bigger than I've ever been a part of. So it's going to be fun, but if you're watching along here, we got about 5 minutes left in practice, and I think we made picks last week, or 2 weeks ago. I don't know, did anybody pick Todd Smith?
I can't remember if anybody picked Todd Smith or not 2 weeks ago. I know I picked him the first week in Charlotte. Who are you thinking about tonight?
Well, I see Thomas Morris fastest in practice, and I wish iRacing would have a 10-lap leaderboard 10-lap averages, because that could really give you a good idea on who's actually the fastest car. I see Thomas up front, he's first. Tate Lytle is second, and man, I know he's my team car. I know I own the 83, but I feel like Tate has been so close to winning if he doesn't have a problem early on in the race, or if his connection issue fails. I'm going to go with that 83 car. I know it's probably kind of against the rules for me to pick my own car, but I'm going to go with Tate tonight here at Homestead.
There's no rules here. I think you can pick whoever you want. Yeah, I think Tate has definitely been one of the three most consistently fast drivers we've had so far this year. I'll take that Thomas Morris, our broadcasting buddy from OCR. And I'm hoping he's run all right this year. He just hasn't been able to quite put together a whole race to get the finishes, I feel like, reflect how he's run so far.
Well, nobody picked Hanshaw, but we're going to bring him on and see what he's got to say about tonight's race. Let's see. Hanshaw, you got a copy?
What's up?
Hey, man. Well, we just had our picks, and nobody picked you.
Imagine that. I want to pick myself.
Well, we see the speed chart right now, and you're at the back. But from what we can tell, it seems like as practice goes on, the track heats up. So it's kind of hard to run a fast lap later on in practice. So you might be a little quicker than what the speed charts show. You ran a 33.0. You're only actually 0.3 off the fastest lap. How's the track? We saw some guys say the track's tighter. You mentioned it's a little bit tighter before the broadcast. Right now, before qualifying, how's the track to you, and kind of what's your thinking behind this race tonight?
Well, I mean, you definitely want to go basically full throttle through these turns, but you can't, obviously. It's definitely tight. The setup's tight. I noticed when I first got into the practice session, the car was just pushing real hard up the racetrack about midway through the corner and corner exit, and I had to adapt a little bit and let off on corner entry just to keep the car under me all the way through the turn. But I mean, it'll be interesting for the race. Qualifying, I'm just trying right now just to see which line is going to be pretty the best line for qualifying. I'm running towards the wall and middle and stuff, and I think that's the place to be.
What's Daryl say? High, wide, and handsome?
High, wide, and handsome.
Yeah. Well, I see something odd here, or maybe it's not odd, but I'm looking at the info of the track, the race information. It says the setup's modified from Michigan. It's not a Homestead setup. I'm guessing, I don't know if that's gonna be any type of a change or not, but it's kind of surprising that we don't see the Homestead setup there. We see a setup modified from Michigan. We might have to bring somebody in and to talk about that, to see how the setup is different from a normal Homestead setup. Did you notice that, Richard?
No, that's the first I've noticed anything about that, and I guess that would explain why Cal feels like it's pretty tight. Maybe they haven't made a B car set up for Homestead yet this year. That could be part of the explanation for it.
Yeah, that's because Michigan. I mean, the turns I think are a lot wider, and you get that trial aspect of racing, and Homestead obviously doesn't have that. So I wonder if we can bring in Thomas Morris or Tate. Let's bring in Tate. Tate doesn't get too much TV time, so we'll bring in Tate if he's on here. I think he is. Tate, it's Johnny Thomas in the 3-wide TV booth. Do you have a copy? Tate, you got a copy? Well, Tate missed his TV time. Who else should we get? Real quick, we're going to get Thomas Morris here real fast before qualifying. Jeez. Thomas, you got a copy?
Hi.
Hey, just a quick interview. I know we got about 30 seconds left in practice. We see your P1. We were talking a little bit about the setup. It says it's modified from Michigan. How is the setup to you?
It's a little tight, but I was told it's actually going to be the Homestead default. So either way, it feels like a normal Homestead setup to me. It's just pretty decent through 1 and 2, and you really got to back up 3 and 4.
Yeah, we wanted to get somebody that maybe had an idea on what that was all about, but we see your P1 in practice.
That was just a lucky lap.
Richard picked you to win now.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so I don't know about that. Although Richard did pick Todd Smith to win the first race, and Todd Smith ended up winning, so maybe Richard's the good luck charm.
Well, I hope so. I need a little luck after missing one. So.
But qualifying's coming up. We wish you good luck, and maybe we'll see you in victory lane here in just about an hour and a half.
Let's hope so. Good luck to you guys as well. See if we can put on a good show.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thanks, Thomas. Good luck.
That's good to see Thomas up front in practice.
Yeah, him and the other OCR driver that we have, both good interviews, good guys. Did a good job broadcasting all of our races last year, and hopefully they can get a good run tonight.
Well, if you're watching, you see on the TV screen, that's David Wilson. I like to always point out that David has his own stream that he runs, his virtual reality stream. It's really, really cool. So if you want to check that out, Carlos just reminded me that the link is in the description. So you can ride along with David the whole race if you don't like listening to us. But that's David Wilson you're riding along with. As speeds are approaching about 180 mile an hour entering turns 3. That's pretty quick here. As you can tell, David Wilson going down all the way to almost 140, Richard. So the speed difference here from the straightaways to the turns is pretty large.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that just contributes to the car being so tight. I mean, I would expect you to be able to hold a little bit more speed than that with a pretty good setup. So these guys, like Thomas said, are just having to really back up the corners to make the car turn. And hopefully that'll lead to a lot of passing opportunities.
So far, through 9 cars actually, David Wilson is the quickest at a 32.93. And a newcomer, Chad Frankenfield just pops up there to P1 as he ran a 32.86. But in P4 right now is Jonathan Cogswell. He is a newcomer to 3-Wide Racing, the DD Series. This will be his first race of the season. So we wish Jonathan the best of luck. Maybe if he's in TeamSpeak, we can bring him on for an interview, talk about his time. After he's done qualifying, we'll bring him in and interview him. We see he's in the lobby right now. But man, Richard, Homestead is race number 4. I know I'm getting pretty antsy. I kind of want to get racing here. Our season starts in about a month. I think we've seen a lot of good things out of these guys. I can't really say we've seen any negatives from this DD series. I know Corey's got to be pretty pumped up with everything that's going on. These next 3 races, halfway's over. Homestead starts the second half of this season. What are you kind of looking for more out of these guys? What do you want? What do you want them to show you?
Well, I think we've seen everything we need to see out of the guys that have consistently run in the top, 6, 7, 8 spots. You'd like to see, like the new guy, Cogswell, see how he races these last 3 races. And then some guys run towards the back. Hopefully they're getting their feet underneath them as the season goes on. But, I mean, not everybody's going to be fast. We know that. I mean, you really just want to be able to trust guys around you on the track. You want to be able to trust that you can short pit sometimes and not always get hit by a caution because somebody did something bonehead. You really just want guys you can race around. And I think that's what it seems like we're getting out of this series so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've been having a blast up here watching these guys. A lot of races we haven't had too many accidents. And Homestead's a track where you tend not to have a lot of crashes going on. You maybe have a single car spin, maybe a couple cars get involved every once in a while. But from the races that 3-Wide has put on over the past 2 or 3 years we've been a part of this league, Homestead has been pretty clean.
Yeah, I think the races here have all been pretty clean. Most of these mile-and-a-halfs guys know what to do. It has been impressive that as tight as the cars seem like they've been all through the first part of the season, it's so easy to, you get behind someone, you're faster than them, and you want to get underneath them, and nobody's really done a bad job of just overdriving the entrance or the center and just pushing up into somebody off exit. Everybody's done a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, I know over the course of the years we've seen a lot of that happen in our series, especially with tight cars. You'd think tight cars would be a little bit easier to drive, but it feels like when you have a tight race car, you see guys try to get a little bit more aggressive and slide up the hill and run into the car they're battling with. As you see with qualifying, Richard, it seems like we know what we're talking about. Tate Lytle, P1, Thomas Morris, P2. Really close times. This Tate Lytle ran a 32.72, Thomas Morris a 32.73. Close times. The top four is separated by 0.06 of a second. That's pretty close when you consider that a mile and a half track. Usually you don't see that here. You usually see it at like Bristol or Martinsville somewhere.
Yeah, that's super speedway tight kind of qualifying right there. That's impressive that those guys are all stacked right on top of each other like that.
And we've mentioned Michael Whitley. He's been pretty impressive these first three races. He's kind of hovers around 5th through 10th. I feel like he's one of the guys where owners and Corey, the league president, has to feel good about. Michael is a guy, I mean, he hasn't caused any problems so far. And I feel like he's a guy that I hopefully, when the season starts in the regular season, that he'll be joining us.
Yeah,
go ahead, Richard.
I'm sorry. It was Carlos there. Michael has put together a good little season here. And I think he's one of those guys, I don't know how much league experience he's got, but it seems like as he's gone through the season, he's gotten more comfortable. And I think it's showing on track that he's getting a little bit faster and faster, and probably definitely getting the car underneath him a little bit more with the league racing and not wanting to do anything dumb.
Yeah, and Carlos informed us that is everybody that has qualified. So the pole sitter is Tate Lytle. He'll get his first pole of the year. Great run for Tate. I know I'm pretty happy about Tate's run, as you'll see Thomas Morris second and Michael Whitley third, with Andrew Rucker fourth. That's a really strong run for Andrew. I know 2 weeks ago was his first race of the season, and he ran consistent, ran in the top 10. Andrew with the top 5 starting spot, and Carlos's driver up in 5th, Chad Frankenfield, rounds out the top 5. You see the rest of the leaderboard there. But man, I'm pretty excited about this race here. I want to see what Todd Smith can do. Can he keep up this momentum? As we saw, I don't think he qualified, as he's not even in the top 20. So that's going to be a big storyline, because Todd Smith has a 9-point advantage over Luis Salmaso. So if Todd runs into some trouble, this opens this championship way up.
Yeah, Todd's definitely one guy tonight hoping that the trend continues of nobody doing anything boneheaded during the first part of these races, because he's going to need some green flag racing for at least the first 20 or 25 laps to try to make up some of that deficit he's got now.
Yeah, and it's happened before this year. We saw Tate Lytle at the first race starting to back, go all the way up to the front. We saw Levi starting to back, go all the way up to the front and win the race. Todd Smith is a guy I think you can put your money on. I'm going to give it 30 laps, and he'll be in the top 5.
Yeah, I think that's like a pretty safe bet, at least the top 6 or 7. It does look like the top 5 is pretty fast. I'm even surprised to see Luis all the way back in 6th place qualifying. He's definitely one of the faster guys in the league, so that just shows the laps some of these front guys laid down.
Yeah, should be a fun show. As I'm looking through the chat here on iRacing, doesn't seem like Mike Stevens is too happy about the setup. He said, my Jeep doesn't handle this bad. Is Mike Stevens in here? I think we can get a word with Mike. I don't see him, though. Oh, he is. Can somebody drag him up here? I want to talk to him.
I like...
Mike, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Hey, thanks for joining us. We noticed in the chat here, it doesn't seem like you like the setup too much. It says my Jeep doesn't handle this bad. What's going on with with your time at Homestead?
The car just seems super tight. Everything that I've tried to get it to loosen up doesn't seem to be helping. we've gone considerably farther back in the brake bias, tried different lines, and it just seems like you can't really get back to the gas very easily.
It seems like everybody is kind of talking about the tight setup that we're about to have. It seems like all the races we've had this year have been tight setups. Mike, so far this season hasn't been as strong as you'd like it to be, but can you rebound this week and get a solid top 10, top 5 run?
We're hoping to. I mean, it would definitely be nice to get the win. I'm kind of taking this driver's development series as kind of a time to get reacclimated with the car, get back in the seat, get some time. Didn't really spend too much time racing during the off season, so I'm a little rusty. So I'm just kind of going to use this time to kind of get back into it, see what I could do, learn a few new things, and maybe steal a win if I can.
Awesome, Mike. Well, we wish you the best of luck here tonight, and maybe, just maybe, he might be back here with us later on tonight for a Victory Lane interview. So take care, Mike.
Thanks, fellas. You too.
And we are way behind schedule. It's 4 minutes left, so we're going to take you trackside for today's national anthem, and that'll be sung by the long black train man, Josh Turner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And that was Josh Turner for today's national anthem. Josh Turner is such a good singer, Richard. I feel like he's got so many hits that I like.
And I mean, I don't know any man that doesn't want to have a voice as deep as that guy's. Got a voice like the Grand Canyon.
Alrighty, so up next, we're gonna get to the race. As you see on the leaderboard, Tate Lytle is the pole sitter in the JTR number 83, as Thomas Morris is second. Really, I don't really have too many storylines to talk about. I see Todd Smith starting in 21st. That's going to be a big storyline. Can Luis Salmaso get his first win of the season? I think that's the biggest storyline. Luis has been so close these first 3 races. He's got to come through and get that W sometime soon, don't you think?
Yeah, and he's got to think he gave one away a couple weeks ago. He pretty much dominated that whole race, and then had the bad pit stop at the end where he slid through his box and really didn't have enough time to make up for it at the end. So he's definitely got the pressure on him to try to put together a whole race here and cut into that deficit a little bit that Todd's built.
Yeah, I think it'll be a huge monkey off Luis's back. He can get that victory. He's been so close, not only this series, but his first series last year. He's had some races where I felt like he was the strongest car when I was out there racing against him. And just for some reason, at the end of the race, something would happen to Luis that would take him out of the contention for a win. So we'll see if he can get a W here this week. We'll take it back down to Hanshaw. Hanshaw's on the grid. Man, Hanshaw, we only got about 2 minutes left before we go green flag racing. You're down on pit road. Man, what's your mindset right now?
Well, with the past 2 races that I've had, I'm just trying to get to the finish on this thing tonight. Just basically looking for a good night. Trying to keep the car under me and make it to the finish.
You got anybody watching you tonight? Sponsors, team sponsors, owners, anybody?
No, not tonight.
All right, Hanshaw, we wish you the best of luck. We'll talk to you maybe in green flag tonight. I know we didn't do that last week, so maybe we'll chat with you here around 20, 30 laps in the race.
Yeah, that's fine. Sounds good, guys.
As the cars are starting to grid, we'll get ready to do the leaderboard, the lineup for today's race. Remember, this is round number 4 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Usually Homestead, the last race of the season. This series, it's not. It's the 4th race out of the 6 races of the season. Starting first, Tate Lytle, and starting second is Thomas Morris. Row number 2, you have Michael Whitley. Alongside him, Andrew Rucker starting 4th. Good starting spot for Andrew. Starting P5, Carlos' driver, like we mentioned, Chad Frankenfield, and Luis Salmasso trying to get his first win of the season, starting 6th. Levi Zielinski, if he can have no connection issues, he might be up front there towards the end of the race, starting 7th, and Rusty Webb outside of row 4, P8. Starting 9th, David Wilson, and starting P10, Matt Hackathorn. Haven't heard a lot of Matt lately, but hopefully he'll have a good run, and I'm going to turn it over to Richard for rows 6 through 10.
11 is our starting 11th is our cohort Kyle Hanshaw, and 12th the newcomer Jonathan Cogswell, trying to put together a good run starting 12th. 13th Mike Stevens, who we talked to, not a big fan of the setup. We'll see how he can run it against everybody else. And 14th Mr. Richard Hines in the 87 car. 15th Chad Brown, and 16th Jordan Teal from Eisentech, probably not the starting spot he was looking for. Skylar Nissel starting 17th in the 33, and 18th Josh Personette in the 23. And to round out the top 20, Patrick McCusker will start 19th, and Frank Sims the 4th will roll off 20th.
And that's everybody that's turned a lap here today, but also we have Todd Smith, P21, Nathan Young starting 22nd, and Wade Lear starting 23rd. That'll round up the field. 23 drivers are racing here tonight. Another good field. That's what I love about this series so far, is we've got more than 20, 23 guys every race.
Yeah, the fields have been pretty good. I guess a little bit disappointing to only get, well, I guess like you said, we got 23 tonight, so that's not too bad. But yeah, the fields have been good. That's another thing you're looking for in these new guys. It's just consistently showing up for races. Doesn't do anything for people to sign up and then not participate in the league.
Well, we're going to try to get a word with our pool sitter here right before the green flag. I'm going to bring on Tate. Tate, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, just want to congratulate you on the pole. I know we're almost coming down here to the green flag. What's your mindset going in this race real fast before we get to green?
Just keep it clean and see where we shape out.
All right, man. Well, maybe we'll see you back here in Victory Lane. At least not Victory Lane, at least top 3 finish. So good luck, man.
Thanks. Have a good one.
That's Tate Lytle, everybody. Starting P1 with Thomas Morris, starting 2nd. On the outside of row number 1, pace car down. Tate Lytle, slow on the throttle, spins his tires a little bit. We're underway here at Homestead. Looks like everybody spun their tires there, didn't it?
Yeah, that's weird for right off the bat restart for people to have that much trouble to get it going.
We'll have to watch that later on, as we'll take you green flag here, lap 1. We'll stay quiet for a couple laps so you guys can watch the action here. Man, I can't stay quiet that long. because we've got a battle for the lead as Thomas Morris completes the pass on Tate Lytle. He'll take the lead. Seems like we got battles all over the place. You'll notice under the start of these things, when these guys have fresh tires, you'll see multiple battles throughout the pack.
Yeah, a lot of good racing so far. Saw a pretty tight race in there for the lead as Thomas got underneath Tate and almost used him up, but made the pass. It looked good as Tate gets back underneath Thomas going into turn 1.
Yeah, Tate will look to the bottom of Thomas, and oh, they make contact! And Thomas saves it as Tate Lytle goes in. And see, man, I think that was a racing deal. I think Thomas came down just a tad bit. Tate didn't know he was there. Let's see if Tate got any right front damage. But that was a heck of a stave by Thomas Morris there.
Yeah, that looked like it was about to be big trouble. Yeah, just one of those situations where Tate was a little later turning in and then Thomas expected him to be, and they just got together. And one of those racing deals.
Yeah, and I saw Tate Lytle. He does have right front damage there. Let's see if that'll affect him. As Andrew Rucker, the rookie, trying to get the lead. Lap number 4, 84 laps here at Homestead. Already excitement as Thomas Morris gets loose with contact from Tate Lytle. Thomas falls back to P4 right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's just trying to gather himself. He said that was a well job of him. Keep that thing straight and not wreck himself and 4 other cars with him there.
As the front 7 separated by less than a second. Tate Lytle in the lead, Andrew Rucker second. Michael Whitley, we talked about him earlier in the broadcast, running P3. I'm expecting big things from Mike here in this race, and not only this race, but the next 2 races on.
Yeah, and he's just kind of single filed out, took advantage of Thomas's issue there to move up to P3. Everybody's just kind of lined up. You can definitely tell everybody's antsy to get going here.
Now, I feel like when you got new tires here, the bottom lane can work. As the tires wear off, it's hard to make passes on that bottom lane. It seems like everybody drifts up to the track, runs that high lane when the tires wear off. But I think with new tires, this is the best opportunity to make passes.
Yeah, definitely. This is where you'll get your most lines available. And like you said, as the run goes on, it'll be real tough to get the car to turn down there on the bottom line.
And I know as the run goes on, you'll have guys, as you see, you're riding on with Todd Smith, trying to make his way. And Todd Smith started 21st, everybody, and on lap number 7, he's all the way up to 13th. So I think Todd just messed up in qualifying, and he's going to work his way all the way up to the front as you see him right on the back bumper of Richard Hines.
Yeah, I'm sure Todd is in a big hurry in his mind to make up some ground here just in case this thing does happen to go caution-free.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say. He's got to be in a hurry because these races have only had 1 or 2 cautions. One went caution-free. So you got to have that mindset that I got to go to the front as quickly as possible, or I may never be able to get to the front.
Yeah, and right there as we're watching, see a perfect example of just a little give and take right there. I'm sure Richard could have hung it out there on his right rear, but he let him go on by, knows he's faster, and they'll go on to race the rest of this race.
And one thing about Richard Hines, I don't think I've raced against a cleaner driver out on the track than Richard. If he knows you're faster than him, he won't race you hard, and you should pay that back to Richard. I know Richard's been faster than me a few times, and guys like that, you get their respect so fast, and I love racing against Richard Hines.
Yeah, and like we talked about, you're not doing anything for anybody. It's not like you're going to hold off Smith for the next 75 laps, so that way you can keep running 12th and he can keep running 13th. It's just good race etiquette to let a guy go at this point of a race if he's obviously faster than you.
Definitely, and Richard, I kind of want for you to talk about a little bit about long green flag runs, because I know with you, especially here, I feel like you qualify 8th, 9th, 10th, you run around there for about 10, 15 laps, and all of a sudden I see you up to P5, P4. How can those guys, or these guys here racing, save these tires and on lap 30, 35, start coming towards the field?
Yeah, like we've talked about, these guys up in the front of these things, they're just more talented than I am, for sure, and then a lot of these guys. So my strategy is always kind of settle in somewhere around 8th or 9th, try to be just fast enough to stay in front of the car behind me, and then let the tire situation come to me and not really try to abuse anything. And eventually you'll be able to make up that ground with the way these setups have been, as tight as everything is and as much tire wear as we're obviously seeing.
Yeah, and I like to see how much tire wear Todd Smith has got, because he's got just a hornet's nest right by him. As you got Rusty Webb, Chad Frankenfield, and Kyle Hanshaw all right by him, as Todd Smith's trying to be patient with these guys, but he knows he's faster than all these guys racing with him. But he's doing a good job right now.
And Todd Smith taking a flyer back to the old Dale Earnhardt line that iRacing likes to put up sometimes. I'll apologize to the tires when they get me to the front.
That's right. As you'll see Todd Smith, I like to see his tire wear once this pit stop happens. Pit stops, I don't even really know how long you can go on fuel here. I'm guessing maybe 35 to 40 laps like we've seen with the other mile-and-a-half tracks. So these guys got a long way to go before they make their pit stop, and who knows, we may see a caution.
Yeah, they're dicing it up pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a caution, but as usual, everybody's doing a pretty good job of racing each other respectfully. So, like we've talked about, it definitely not beyond the realm to think this thing's going to go caution-free, and Todd's got space to make up.
Yeah, and as far as a racing scale on like a fun meter, I put Homestead as a mile-and-a-half track way up there on my list. I love racing here. I think there's multiple grooves throughout the race that you can make passes. It seems like you can run side by side with these guys for quite a long period of time. And other mile-and-a-half tracks, even mile tracks, you can't really do that. So I think all these guys here, they like racing at Homestead if you like to race around other people.
Yeah, definitely a lot of good racing here on iRacing at Homestead. And Homestead, it's tricky. It's not like the other mile-and-a-halves. Most of the other mile-and-a-halves are you roll off the throttle, you get the thing down to the bottom, you wait long enough to get back to the throttle to where you don't hammer the wall. Here, I feel like there's a lot more nuance to driving Homestead than a lot of the other mile-and-a-half tracks we drive.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same old cookie cutter tracks that NASCAR goes to. That's why I feel like in real life it's the best mile-and-a-half track that we can go to. I think it puts on the best show. As I said that Todd Smith would be in the top 5 by lap 30. He's doing pretty good. He's P8, and we're halfway there, lap 15. So we'll see if Todd Smith can break that top 5. You see Tate Lytle still leading, and Tate Lytle got a pretty big lead, 1.2 seconds on Andrew Rucker, having a great run so far, but we know it's early, so anything could happen. Thomas Morris is third, 1.5 seconds behind. So obviously that damage, Richard, it hasn't affected Tate too much.
No, and I feel like we've seen it so far this year. I don't know if they've changed the damage model or if it's just always been this way if you get a little bit of minor right front. But it seems like if the car was tight to start with and you put a golf ball dent in the right front fender, the thing was just real hard to drive as the run went on. But yeah, it seems like the cars right now are driving okay with a little bit of right front damage on them.
It's kind of good to see if they did change the damage model, because I know from past races, if you do get damage on that right front, it's a struggle all race long. So maybe they changed it. As you see Michael Whitley getting passed by Levi, seems like once you get a little bit of momentum on that high lane, it seems to carry it with you, and you make the pass, as Levi does right there, making a pass on Michael Whitley. That'll get Levi up to 6th. Levi started 7th. Actually, it'll get Levi up to P5.
Yeah, that's a good run so far for Levi, like we talked about pre-race. You expect him to get up towards the front of his connection. Hold on, that's been his biggest issue so far this year.
Yeah, it's kind of screwed him out of a championship. I feel like I'd assume, or I'd say confidently, that Levi's eliminated from winning this DD Series championship. I think we still got about 6 or 7 guys that have a good chance. And like we always mention, we got Talladega as the last race of the year, so anything could happen. As you see, Skylar Nissel get just a tad bit loose there underneath Mike Stevens, and that's a battle for, right now, it's a battle for 16th and 17th. Those guys are in the back, but they still want to get a little bit racy and have some battles.
Yeah, hey, every position's a position. I mean, you got to drive like you got a brain, but you can still get back there and race a little bit. Just because you're running 16th doesn't mean you're not here to have a good time.
That's the main goal here in throughout racing. You gotta have fun every once in a while. Pretty much every time. I know you can get mad, get angry, but it's pretty much just a hobby and it's for fun. And Mike Stevens, Skylar Nissel battling out there for a top 15 finish. We're at lap number 19 right now out of 84. And like we've always mentioned, you do get bonus points for halfway. So the top 5 will earn bonus points. We'll see that at lap 42. And then like we mentioned before, if we do get a caution number 1, well, we will go to commercial break, so remember that. As we're at lap 20 right now. Tate Lytle up front, Thomas Morris actually making the pass on Andrew Rucker. We missed that, Andrew. And I wonder, Richard, if these tires are starting to fall off, because Andrew was second just 3-4 laps ago, and now he's all the way back down to 5th right now.
Yeah, as we see there, Levi dirt tracking it a little bit around there, but Thomas has made the pass, and he's actually starting to track down Tate a little bit, so I'm sure he's got in his mind, he's been wronged, so he's got a little vengeance in his heart as he tries to run the 83 car back down.
It'll definitely be exciting if we see them two get battling here again, maybe even the closing laps of the race. As Levi got loose, but he seemed to rebound. He's still in the third spot. Luis Salmaso trying to get around him. As right now, Richard, as we're setting in, I think these guys have kind of fallen into a groove here where now you're kind of preparing, when should I make that pit stop? I don't know. Do you think really short pitting hasn't worked out for the most part for a lot of these guys here early on in the season? Will you see some short pitting? I know I've seen some in our league races, but they're not as short. Our races aren't as short as these races. Do you expect some short pitting going on here tonight?
That all just comes down to how far they can go on fuel. I don't think they can go 42 laps on fuel. So then you get in a situation where you got to take 2 stops anyway. So if it were me, and I would guess that they're going to be able to go 35 or 36 laps on fuel. Maybe around lap 30, you start thinking about it. I'm not going to super short pit.
Oh, we got a crash. We got a crash. 2 cars involved. Jordan Teal hard on the outside wall. Cogswell looks like made contact with Jordan Teal. We got our first caution of the day. First caution of the day on lap 23. Sorry to interrupt you there, Richard, but Jordan Teal, as we've seen earlier this year, him getting into an accident, and tonight at Homestead, his day looks a little bit like it's going to end a tad bit early. Let's see the replay here. As you see Jordan Teal, he's going to be underneath Cogswell. Richard, does he dive it in here a little bit too hard?
I don't know. I mean, it does look like they both pretty much hold their line. I guess maybe just got back to the throttle just a touch too early. It's not like he just drove it up into him off the corner. Just one of those situations where it's a foot between nailing it and nailing him.
Yeah, and you saw it. I don't know if we can see the replay again, but I don't think Teal actually touched him. It might have been a little bit of net code, but still, I'm guessing he just pushed up quite a bit, or I can't even say he pushed up that much. It was just these cars were racing so close to each other that any type of little contact is going to send them around. But it's a tough break for Jordan, nonetheless, as his day is most likely done. He had a lot of damage. I can't see him maintaining any type of speed comparable to this top 15.
Yeah, you hate to see that. Just one of those situations. It didn't really look like anybody did anything really egregious there. Just misjudged it a tiny bit, and like you said, might even been a little bit of net code they got to deal with every once in a while.
So we see everybody making pit stops. It looked like, from my point of view, Tate Lytle, the first one off, along with Thomas Morris. Pretty sure Levi was P3. As I got the charts right now, I think Richard Hines stayed out to lead a lap, but I'm sure he'll be coming back down pit road. Oh, as maybe Hines missed his pit stall, but he will lead a lap. I think so. I think he was the leader when he came by the line, so Richard will get a bonus point that he might need to move up there in the top 10 in points. I am right, Tate Lytle is going to be your leader. As like we said, we mentioned earlier, we are going to go to a commercial break on the first caution. So Carlos will let you ride around with whoever on this caution flag, and we'll be back in just a minute. we're back from our break right now. So we're getting ready to go green that was actually the first caution that we had. We're going to go green on lap number 28 out of 84 laps. And we're just debating here right now to break. And I highly doubt these guys can make it. If they couldn't make it on 40 laps, they're definitely not going to make it on around 50 laps, Richard. So now we can start. I'm thinking they're going to break this run up into 2 segments where we could see pit stops around maybe lap 55.
Yeah, and this always adds that little element of excitement too, because these guys kind of near the back. As we get ready to go back to green, I'll give it back to you.
All right, as we go back to green, we see tire spin again from Thomas Morris as Levi gives Tate Lido a shot, as Tate will regain the lead here on lap number 28. Tire spin in the a late restart. Some of these guys stay out or take 2 tires. Tire spin is going to be something to watch for.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like taking 2 tires would be a suicide mission at this point after seeing those first 2 restarts where it's hard to keep the car underneath you on 2 fresh tires on the back.
Yeah, and we saw Tate Lido lose the lead early on in the race to Thomas Morris. And it seems like his car gets stronger as the run goes on. Levi, P2, going to try to challenge for that lead as Levi digs it down there pretty hard, gets super close to Tate. He's going to try to make the pass on that inside.
Yeah, it looks like Levi's not a big fan of the patience right now. He's really trying hard to get underneath the 83 there.
And I think something I don't think we've talked about at all this year is the dreaded clean air that everybody hates except the leader. And I think if Levi can get up to Tate and make the pass, he might start pulling away, because I feel like these are one of the tracks where clean air is such a huge asset to the leader.
Get that virtual air flowing over that nose, it makes a big difference.
But Levi is still looking to make the pass on Tate, as Tate has about a 2-car length lead.
And Levi, as we've seen over the time that we've raced with him over the last couple of years, he's not afraid to be aggressive at all situations. So if you're seeing that a little bit here, he's doing all he can to get around the 83.
And look at that, just completed lap 30. And if you see right behind Levi, it's Todd Smith, as Todd Smith has worked his way from dead last all the way up to P3 with just 31 laps completed. So my prediction was right, I'm happy to say, that Todd Smith would get to the top 5 by lap 30, and he's bettered that. He's up to P3.
Yeah, I think Todd Smith uses bulletin board material and said, I'll be up to the top 3 by lap 30.
But he took that to heart. I thought I was giving him some confidence.
He's fast, as you can see. He drives it down in there.
Makes a pass on Levi easily, too.
Yeah, and I think Levi gave him a little bit right there, which is good to see.
And man, this has to be just so disheartening to everybody else in this race. Maybe you thought that you might have had an edge over Todd, him starting way in the back, but that's not the case, as he's going to challenge Tate for the lead here.
Yeah, and I know if I was one of these guys that started up front, I would have been really happy to see this race goes caution-free, because I feel like there's no chance the 19 would have been able to be a factor, at least in the top 3 or 4 spots, but that was a big break for him to get that caution early.
Yeah, and right now, I'd probably be yelling and screaming. I'd probably be awful grumpy seeing that 19 car up there again. But man, he's so fast, and I know he's definitely the championship favorite going into this race here. As he gets a little bit tight as Tate Lido pulls away, and then it's that tight end loose off look there that I just saw from Todd Smith.
Yeah, that's always a scary kind of race car to drive a little bit. That one that surprises you right as the car tries to settle off the corner and then wants to get snappy on you.
And this is the top 3 so far. I think they're going to stay fairly close. We saw Levi, he kind of drifted off as the run went on there on the first run we had. Tate kind of stayed steady. He was running consistent lap times throughout the run. And Todd Smith worked his way, like we mentioned, he worked his way all the way up. So it'll be interesting to see what Todd can do now that he's up with these leaders. He's up to second. Can he pass Tate, or can he just stay where kind of Tate's running around his lap times? You see he's 4/10 off of Tate right now. So maybe Tate has a little bit faster car than Todd does.
Yeah, Tate, I would imagine he's driving the car pretty hard right now, and we've seen Todd so far this year. He doesn't really leave anything on the table in the early parts of these runs. All these guys up front, they just pretty much drive the car as hard as they can throughout the whole run. So I think this is what we got right now. We'll see how it plays out as the run goes on, and see who is maybe saving a little bit of their equipment.
Well, you see right now where we're showing Andrew Rucker, and I'm looking at lap times. Andrew actually has the fastest lap of the race at a 32.96. Luis Salmaso has a 32.97, so that's a really fast lap by Andrew Rucker. Maybe we haven't seen the last Andrew. He dives in hard trying to get around Luis, but that's a really fast lap.
Yeah, and this is really good racing up here from second on back as Levi goes back around Todd, and Todd's looking back underneath Levi for second. But obviously those two cars look like they're pretty even right now.
Yeah, so maybe Todd's starting to see that once you get up to this top 5, it's pretty competitive, and it's going to be hard to pass these guys. These are some of the best guys in 3-wide racing. We all know that. This is a DD series, a driver developmental series. These guys really don't need developed any more than what they actually are.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of these guys are plenty developed. Look like toddlers on the baby scale for sure.
They're 15 going into 4th grade. But you see Michael Whitley trying to get around Luis as he scrapes the wall, and Luis has to take action into his own hands. He dives way down to the bottom. He gets away, and Michael Whitley. Oh, we got a crash right now. I'm seeing in the back straightaway. We got a crash. It's Frankenfield. No caution. Nathan Young involved. Still no caution out. As a 2-car accident happens in the backstretch with Frankenfield and Young. Couldn't quite see it. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. We're going to show the replay right now. As Frankenfield has tons of damage. He's coming on the pit road. See Nathan Young behind him. Is he going to whack the wall here?
Yeah, I bet that's what's about to happen.
Yeah, he hits the wall, comes down into Nathan. Nathan has no place to go. Yeah, Nathan's day's done. I'm thinking Frankenfield's day's done as well. What do you think happened there, Richard? Did Frankenfield just get too tight?
Yeah, just one of those situations. Got back to the throttle just a tad bit too early and ran out of space coming off the corner there. And I mean, sometimes you feel like maybe the guy behind him could have seen that coming a little bit, but it's just so hard to lift, because you lift there and he makes it, and then you feel dumb. So that's one of those situations that you hate to see two guys get into.
And I feel like from racing this track, from racing tracks similar to Homestead, you're that guy that's getting tight off the corner. But there's a certain point in that turn where you either say, I'm just going to gun it, and hopefully it sticks, I don't hit the wall, or you let off. But it's such a fine line, especially here at Homestead, where if you say, hey, I'm going for it, then you have to commit, or it's still going to just take you right into that outside wall.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the difference between running one of these longer league races where points are on the line for a whole season. You know, you hope that guys, and that's one of the reasons we have this developmental series, will just maybe lift there a little bit. Say, I'm not 100% sure this thing's going to clear the wall off the corner here, so I'm gonna lift to make sure I make it. Whereas in these 30-lap big car fixed races, you basically just have to go balls to the wall the whole time and then just hope it works out.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. As we got lap 42, so this next lap, that's going to be our halfway point. And I don't think we have any battles in the top 5. And that's big for Tate Lytle. He's trying to work on that top 3 in points, trying to get around Rusty. I know Tate's 4th in points, so he'll get those 5 bonus points, as Levi will get 4. Todd Smith will have 3 points, Thomas Morris 2, and Luis Amasso will get the 1 point for finishing 5th in the halfway mark. As you're watching that battle between Andrew Rucker and Matt Hackathorn. I mean, they were 3 wide there a couple laps ago, and I thought one of them was going to bite the dust, but it ended up staying pretty clean as Rucker gets around Hackathorn. Michael Whitley was running up there in 4th. He's starting to fall back now.
Yeah, and you talked about guys that might be disheartened by seeing Todd Smith all the way up to the front at the halfway point. You got to put at the top of that list Luis Salmosa, who for sure probably thought he could at least pick up a few points, definitely at that halfway bonus, and ends up losing one there.
Yeah, that can't be good for Luis's confidence level. But like we mentioned earlier, Luis has had some heartbreakers here in the past couple weeks. Running P4, he's still got a good shot, and like we've seen many times before in 3-ride racing, is anything could happen when you get down to 10 laps to go. I know we've seen tons of late rate restarts, not in this league personally, but in other leagues. It seems like it's just like NASCAR, where you're going to get a caution under 10 laps to go.
Yeah, it just seems like we talked about, guys lose their patience towards the end, and maybe that situation where you would lift a little bit, you're not 100% sure you're going to make the corner. Maybe you get back last 10 laps, you decide I'm not going to lift anymore. I'm just going to hope it sticks, and if it doesn't, I guess I'm going to catch the wall.
Yeah, and I wonder if Todd Smith caught the wall here in the last couple laps. He was challenging Levi for that second place. And now we see him all the way back to 5th. So I don't know if he caught the wall. I don't see any damage. Maybe his tires are starting to wear out. But pretty surprising by Todd. He was so fast to work his way all the way up to P3 at one point, and now falling back to 5th.
Yeah, and Toddy actually got all the way up to P2 there for a lap or two before Levi went back around. And you gotta wonder if he's just maybe settling in a little bit, as we'll probably run him another 15 or 20 laps on this run before people start ducking off to top it off for the end.
Yeah, and that's a good point you just added. I know for sure these guys can go at least 30 laps on a tank of fuel, and we got 38 laps to go. I feel like in these next 8 laps here, somebody's gonna dip down the pit road, short pit, and tires really matter. I'm watching these lap times, and their last lap, as we're getting them in right now, my monitor's all jacked up. But the Tate Lytle's best lap was a 33.11, and that last lap was a 34.66. So they're already a second and a half slower. So if you short pit, you're going to gain a lot of ground.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll have guys try that. And then, like I was going to say before the restart came up, if you're one of these guys back here, 10th or 12th, Richard Hines' position or Chad Brown, why not just run it all the way out? Try to save a little fuel, get every lap you can out of it, and just hope for a caution. I mean, at this point, there's no reason not to gamble a little bit. Short pitting's not really going to pick you up a lot, maybe a couple spots. It's not really going to give you a chance for a top 5. So you'll see a lot of different strategies when you get in this situation where there's like a 15-lap window where people can pit.
Yeah, I agree. Why not stay out if you're 10th through 20th? Because if you short pit, running 11th, you might get up to 5th by the time everybody cycles around through their pit stops, but you're going to get dropped back way past 11th. So if I was those guys, I agree with you. I would stay out into maybe 10 laps to go before you have to actually pit for fuel. And if a caution comes out with, say, 20 laps to go, these guys behind you are still going to come back down for 4 fresh tires. So you're going to be in a catbird seat if that does happen.
Yeah, you'll probably end up getting a couple guys a lap down, too. You won't get these leaders a lap down, but you'll get some of these guys you're racing around a lap down if they do decide to duck off and short pit. So you can put yourself in a decent situation where you can pick up a 4th or 5th or 6th place finish, where right now you're running 14th or 15th or 16th.
Yeah, we've seen Tate Lytle lead pretty much this whole race, but right now he's got some company, and it's Levi Zielinski. He's right on his back bumper with 34 laps to go. Levi takes it in. Levi takes it in pretty hard. Let's see if he gets loose coming off the turn. We've been seeing he's getting loose. This time he does. He's a little squirrely, and I noticed Tate Lytle also a little squirrely. So I'm wondering, Richard, these long runs, if these guys are starting to kind of get a little bit of a loose condition coming out of the turns.
Yeah, and it seems like as this run goes on, I'm sure that right rear tire is getting abused a little bit, and the car you can see getting a little bit less stable.
Levi gets loose again. That's right on board with Levi. He takes it. He's definitely driving in harder than Tate is. And Tate's getting a little bit better of a run off. Actually, right now, it seems like Levi gets a better run in and a better run off.
And this is a situation where if you don't do a lot of racing for these distances, or where pit strategy comes in, that you're not 100% sure how hard you should drive the car, because you want to use it up as much as you can, but you don't want to use it up too early to where you got pit earlier than you want, or you run 5 laps where you're way slower than everybody behind you.
Definitely, as we noticed, Tate tagged a little bit of the wall, but it didn't seem to slow him down at all. Oh, Levi actually tagged the wall, Carlos said. So Levi hit the wall, and I know it seems like he's fighting the car a lot more than Tate is right now. He's going to be trying to get alongside of Tate coming into 3. Can't make the pass.
Levi obviously driving the car hard. I would imagine Tate's going to run off right here. Levi, yep.
No, Levi's
Levi
sideways. There he goes. He saves it, though. Levi drove it in. Like you said, he's driving it hard. And when you drive it hard every lap, sooner or later, it's probably going to bite you.
Yeah, that's just one of those situations where you can't let yourself get in a situation where you're uncomfortable. Like, you have plenty of laps to make that fast. It doesn't have to be right now. You can just ride for a few laps and kind of set the pass up, not just have to drive the car in 100 feet past where the other guy drove the car into.
Yeah, and it seems like you're in such a bad position coming off the turn on that bottom lane. It seems like, and everybody noticed if they watch in real life, where that guy in the bottom lane, when they're coming off the turn, they tend to always get a little bit loose. And that's what we saw with Levi. He got loose coming off the turn. Tate didn't do nothing wrong. But when you're so close to the guy, that guy right on the outside, you're going to get loose no matter what. And Levi was just giving it just a little bit too much. And now he's falling back to P3, almost a second off of Tate. So he's rebounding quite a bit already.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to make that second up, though. And as you saw on the screen a second ago, that's opened the window for Luis, who we've talked about all day, to get right up on the rear end of the 83 car.
And Luis is going to the inside, trying to make the pass. Can he complete it? Oh, I don't think he can. Yep, Tate Lytle's going to get the run off. As they're side by side going into turn 3. 29 laps to go. We got to see some of these guys going to dip down a pit road here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm sure that all these leaders are just waiting for the first guy to duck off as Luis pulls back even with him as we go off turn 4 there.
And both these guys are wheeling it. I'm seeing Tate's car wiggle. I'm seeing Luis's car wiggle. They're both really, really loose coming off these turns. Luis is going to complete the pass right now. That's a strong move on that bottom lane. Luis is the new race leader, his first time leading today with 29 laps to go. And now, Richard, I see Tate's gotten passed. Now is a good opportunity, if I'm him, to maybe pull down on pit road, short pit, and get that lead back when everybody else cycles through.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a terrible situation here if it's like we think it is, which is probably like the window's 32 to 35 laps, to go and duck off here in a lap or two and try to beat Luis to pit road.
I think Tate's car, the handling has gone away on his car, and I think a lot of people's car. And maybe Luis kind of saved a little bit of tires, and he's starting to pull away off of Tate Lytle. As you see one car heading down the pit road, that's Hackathorn. Hackathorn was running in, I think, around the 12th or 13th spot, so he's the first one to make a pit stop. As you see Tate closing back into Luis as Levi still about a second back from all these guys. Thomas Morris is 4th, and Todd Smith still running P5 after he worked his way up there early.
Yeah, and Todd Smith just kind of neutral on the leaders right now. They're all running about the same lap times, I think. And you wonder if a little bit of damage on Tate's right front is really tightening the car up as this run's gone on.
Yeah, that could be a problem. Remember, Tate Lytle and Thomas Morris made contact early on in the race, and it kind of seemed like it affected Thomas more. It's Mike Stevens dips on pit road. He's the second car to make pit stops. So now we're seeing cars starting to come in. They're definitely in their pit window now.
Yeah, I would say any second here you'll see one of the guys in the top 5 or 6 duck off, and then the next lap I would imagine you'll see the other 5 do it.
I feel like if you're in the top 5, first guy to make a pit stop in that top 5, you see Todd Smith coming. First guy in the top 5 to make a pit stop, I'm thinking is going to win this race. Todd Smith was P5. He's the first one to pit.
And actually, I think as we pass there,
oh, we got a crash. We got a crash. There's got to be a... Oh, my goodness, there's a crash. Teal wrecks and just pulls right down in front of traffic.
That's not what you're looking for when you spin out there.
Jordan Teal gets in a wreck for the second time today. as we've had 2 cautions, both of them involving that 33 car.
And actually, the first and second was already on pit road when that caution came out. That's what I was about to say. They had pitted.
And here's the replay. I want to get back to see if those guys did make it before the caution came. I know, Richard, you said they did. Teal's gonna... what's he gonna do? He whacks the wall. He just whacks the wall in the backstretch. Goes into Hackathorn. That's an odd deal. You don't see cars wreck going down a straightaway too much. But Jordan Teal managed to do it.
Strategery. Yeah, I think those first 2 cars for sure made it. Now, I'm not sure about Todd Smith. I don't know if he made it on the pit road before the caution came out.
All right, so right now you have Levi leading the race. Thomas Moore's in second, Andrew Rucker in third. Tate Lytle made a pit stop. So did Todd Smith, and Luis was the leader, and he made the pit stop. And right now I'm showing that those 3 cars are on the lead lap.
Yeah, that should work out good for those 3 guys.
Yeah, if all goes planned, that'll be your front 3. Wow, what a kind of a turn of events there. I wasn't expecting a caution flag there as we were approaching pit stops. But those guys definitely got a huge, huge break there, pitting right before the caution came out.
Yeah, for sure. And they're lucky the action wasn't about 2 laps later. Or, they may have been a lap down to Levi. But it worked out for them. And you expect them to be first and second and third as we go back to green here in a couple of laps.
Yeah, we haven't talked too much to our in-race reporter, so we're going to bring on Hanshaw and see what he's got to say about this last 20-lap dash we got to the finish. Hanshaw, you got a copy up here?
Yes, sir.
Well, now we got the second caution of the day. Going to get the green around 20 laps to go. We've noticed you've been battling back from maybe 10th through 20th. How's your day going so far?
It's not bad. I've been trying to stay smooth and consistent every lap. Car's pretty fun to drive on the long runs. I feel like I'm way better on the long runs. I get to catch up to these guys and make some moves and pass them and stuff. But yeah, it's been a good race so far. Enjoying it. So these last couple laps will be pretty cool. Hopefully action-packed.
Yeah, well, you're running P16 right now, and you know, I think we're gonna see at least one more caution right now. We haven't seen competition ramp up too much yet this season, and with 20 laps to go, this is a really racy track. I think we're gonna see some caution. So if you stay clean here, you may just well end up with a top 10.
Hopefully, I feel like the car is definitely a top 10 car. Yeah, hopefully some guys make some mistakes. I was kind of ticked that caution came out because I was committed to pit road and came out right as I crossed the line, and it said I entered a closed pit, but I don't know. We'll see what happens here.
All right, Hanshaw, we're going to talk to you after the race is over with. Good luck these last 20 laps.
All right, boys. Thank you.
And while we're still under caution, I'm thinking we're going to get the 1 to go. We're going to take a quick commercial break here real quick just to get everything situated, as Carlos will let you ride on board here under caution here real fast. We'll be back in just a couple of seconds. And there, as you can see, the leaders all double file. We're back from our break. We're going to have a nice little 19-lap shootout, Richard, for the win. Tate Lytle first, Luis Salmasso second, Todd Smith P3.
Yeah, we missed that. Tate going to lead us back to the green flag here after those pit stops.
And here we go, pace car in, green flag. We're underway with a 19-lap shootout. Luis is going to try to look to the bottom there to make contact. There's a crash. It's Luis and Todd. Todd slips up. He saves it somehow. I don't know how they save it. Unbelievable, Richard, that both those guys saved that.
And that's a situation you can see coming, and nobody's going to give and take anymore.
As
There's going to be a lot of taking.
They're still making contact. They're not happy with each other. It looked like Luis did not even see Todd there. He tried to make oh man, he tried to make the pass on Tate and didn't notice Todd was there and just came right across Todd's nose.
Yeah, and I think Todd's pretty excited about the whole thing. So we'll have to get a word with those guys hopefully after this race is over. Their cars are both pretty banged up now.
Todd's car has got a little bit of damage, but Luis, man, his front end is all torn up. If that's going to open the door to Tate and Levi, as you've seen, Tate is a lot stronger than Levi on the longer runs. Levi can catch him on the short runs, but I really thought that Todd and Luis was Tate's biggest competition. But man, that's going to be exciting to catch up on later.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Those two guys got together there. It's, open the door for some other guys now. We got Richard Hines all the way up to 5th place after he's run about 12th or 13th all race. So it's a good run for him if he can hang on up there.
Yeah, Richard Hines right now in P5. That'll be his strongest run of the year. So it's good to see Richard up front. Thomas Morris in 4th, and Andrew Rucker still really steady in P3. But man, that was exciting. As we got Tate Lytle still in 1st, Levi trying to catch him. Chad Brown actually in P6. And Chad's been pretty good in points so far, so that'll be another good point save for Chad if he can keep it up.
What an exciting piece of driving by both of those guys, though.
That was unbelievable.
Todd saved the thing 5 times through the corner. I thought for sure that thing was going to get in the wall at some point, but he hung on to it.
I had Todd overcorrecting it and slamming that outside wall, but he didn't. And that's unbelievable. Guys, you saw the Kyle Larson save at Daytona. That has nothing on Todd Smith's save because there's hardly any banking here. So that was unbelievable that he saved that. And I know he's still not happy, but that was an incredible piece of driving by Todd Smith.
And actually, as we look at it now, as everything's shaking back out, Todd's still just back in 7th place. So if he can keep a level head, and just finish out these last 17 or so laps, and he's still ahead of Luis, it won't be that bad of a point save for him.
Yeah, he's ahead of Luis, and coming in this race was a 9-point gap on Luis, but more importantly, on 3rd place, Rusty Webb was a 21-point gap. So that's a huge advantage for Todd. And as you can see right now, Rusty Webb is running 11th, and Todd, like you said, running P6. So he's not going to lose hardly any points. Maybe he'll lose some points to Tate Lytle if everything goes as planned right now.
Yeah, and as we talk about that, Levi's cut that lead down to about a 1/4 of a second. So in the last couple laps, he shaved a 1/4 second off of it. And just as we were talking about it, Todd's actually all the way back up to 6th place now, passing Chad Brown.
Yeah, we noticed Levi. He tried to get around Tate. Hanshaw gets sideways. I'm seeing Hanshaw almost losing it going into turn 2, or coming out of turn 2. But like I mentioned earlier, Levi caught Tate on that second run we had, and then got loose. But that was later on in the run. This is with fresher tires. And if Levi can make that bottom work without getting sideways coming off turn 4 or turn 2, I think he can complete this pass.
Yeah, and I would imagine both these guys are driving the car as hard as they can drive at this point. You don't want to let Levi get around you if you can help it. It'd be tough to get back by him for the end of this race.
So here we go. We're going to have almost 10 laps to go, and it's going to be a 2-car shootout between Tate Lytle and Levi Zielinski. Levi has won a race already this year. Tate Lytle has gone winless, but has been close these first 3 races. One of the strongest cars out here. This is going to be a battle between these two guys, coming down to the checkered flag here.
And the guy we talked about earlier, Andrew Rucker, all the way up to third now after the contact between Todd and Luis. That's a good run for him he's put together.
And who knows about Andrew? These two guys, Tate Lytle and Levi, really aggressive race car drivers in three-wide racing. So Andrew, I mean, he might be sitting in the catbird seat right now.
Yeah, he might have a front row seat to a little fireworks here over the last 8 laps here.
As you see Levi right on Tate Lytle's butt. Going into turn 1, Levi will take the high lane just a little bit. Tate Lytle scoots away, but Levi cuts the ground up going out of turn number 2.
Yeah, I know we've seen it over the last couple of laps. It seems like Levi's really beating Tate off the corners. That's where you're going to have to try to make that pass.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, Richard, how do you set up a pass here when two cars are fairly even?
I mean, and usually when you get a tight race car like this, you just try to get right up on the tail of the guy and then try to make him overdrive the entrance so you can beat him off. And that's usually the best way to make a pass, especially when it's hard to get underneath someone and drive around them.
Yeah, because these are one of these tracks where the preferred lane isn't down at the bottom. So if you're running this top lane, it's going to be hard to make a pass on the bottom. I'm feeling Levi, like you said, has got to make Tate drive it in pretty hard. And Levi can take the run and make the pass on the bottom. But if Tate is staying consistent like he is, maybe Levi can try somehow to make that pass on the top lane.
I would be surprised if these two cars don't end up side by side at some point in these last 7 laps. But right now, it seems like Levi can't really quite get to him. He's getting near him, but not all the way to him, lap after lap.
Yeah, with 8 laps to go, this is the most exciting battle we have on track. The top 2 separated by less than a car length. Andrew Rucker, P3 right now, about 1.5 seconds back. This is going to be a shootout here, coming to 7 laps to go. Can Levi make the pass on Tate to pick up his second win of the season?
Levi just stays right there in his tire tracks for now, but you see it there, about the 2/3 point of the corner. It seemed like Levi gets back to the throttle just a second earlier than Tate does.
As I'm starting to see Levi starting to wiggle a little bit, maybe this loose condition is starting to come back. As we got, what we went, about 13 laps under these tires?
Yeah, and this is probably 13 laps harder than they've driven 13 laps all night, so this is probably the equivalent of 20 laps early in the race.
So let's see if that loose condition comes out. I know we noticed with Tate, the loose condition was with him too. He was fighting that car. Just can Levi get to the bottom, get to the bumper of Tate? Right now, as Tate kind of separated, it was once almost less than a car length. Now it's about 3 car lengths, the advantage of Tate Lytle.
Yeah, Levi seems like the way this has gone the last couple laps is going to need Tate to make a mistake here over the last 6 laps of this race. Try to make that pass.
And Tate Lytle has ran a pretty fairly clean race. He's led almost all this race here. And I tell you what, Richard, Tate Lytle, one of the original guys in 3-wide racing, and he hasn't won a 3-wide race in a long, long time. And I know he's going to be pretty pumped if he can bring it to victory lane.
Yeah, and it's not like this driver developmental series is some kind of laydown where you're racing a lot of guys who aren't at your skill level. There's a lot of really good race car drivers in here, so it's a big deal.
Levi getting loose.
He can't hold on to it.
The same exact thing we saw out of him about 30 laps ago. Levi Zielinski getting loose off of turn 4. And Tate Lytle cruises out to about 1.5 seconds. That was huge right there, and that might have just cost Levi the race.
Yeah, that probably, unless we get a caution here in the next lap or 2, that's probably going to take away his opportunity to have a shot at Tate over the last couple laps.
So if Tate Lytle can run 3 more clean laps, he'll get his first victory of the season. As we saw the big incident between Todd and Luis, Todd has stayed in 6th. Luis has rebounded. He was once 10th. He's made the pass. He's all the way up to 8th. Made 2 spots as Todd Smith is right now battling with, I think that's Michael Whitley. And yeah, Michael Whitley is a lap down right now, so that's not for position.
Now, that's actually worked out okay for Todd. That big-time save he made, even though he's going to be mad that he maybe didn't have an opportunity to have a shot at the win like he thought he might, he's still going to come home with a good finish that's not going to hurt him in the points.
Now, that was the save of a lifetime, and I know this was just the 4th race of the 3-wide racing season, but that's going to be in at least the top 5 of the save of the year, maybe the best save we'll have all year.
Yeah, that was big time driving right there.
Here we see Tate Lytle coming through turn 3, coming out of turn 4. As the flagman has a white flag in his hand, he'll wave it. 1 lap to go at Homestead for Tate Lytle. 4 more turns and Tate Lytle is your winner.
Yeah, and Tate's got a full 9/10 lead. I would imagine he'll just take it easy here and just run a nice smooth lap as you see him come through 1 and 2 and do exactly that.
Tate Lytle down the back stretch. Now I'm going to make a safe bet. I don't think Tate Lytle has won in 3-wide racing in at least 2 years. So it's going to be a good time for Tate Lytle and also a good time for JTR. Tate Lytle picks up the victory at Homestead.
Yeah, it's nice full race for Tate there. Put it all together. Able to hang on to second there, hang on to the car through the front stretch there and not bring it up.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier, Tate hasn't put together a clean race, and a lot of it hasn't been of his doing. He puts together this clean race, and he puts it in victory lane. And that should get him to at least 3rd place in points, as he was 4th behind Rusty Webb. So Tate's going to have a good points day as well.
Yeah, it's, for the points implication, Rusty Webb's looks like going to finish back in 10th place. So he's definitely going to make up some points there. And still, that'll let Todd Smith stretch the point lead out a little further.
As Tate Lytle's going to burn him down. When you win a JTR, you can pretty much blow it up.
We got infinite fake race car money.
That's a good win for Tate. I'm really excited about Tate Lytle getting the victory. And Levi Zielinski coming home 2nd. I'm sure he'll be happy with that, considering he almost wrecked like 3 times.
Yeah, and he was obviously just driving the car as hard as he could drive it. You can't fault him for that. He was doing all he could there at the end. So it was a good job for him not to let that cost him a decent finish. He was able to hold on and get a good 2nd place there.
Let's bring in some interviews. This is an awesome run for Andrew Rucker. I think he's in here. Carlos can correct me. But I don't see him. I don't see Andrew in TeamSpeak. Do you see him, Richard?
No, I don't think he's in there. That's unfortunate. We would have loved to get a word with Andrew. I don't think we got to talk to him this year.
Well, let's bring in, I tell you what, we'll bring in Todd Smith then and talk about his crazy day. So we'll bring in Todd Smith. Richard, do you want to do the interview?
Todd, Richard up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, 10-4.
Well, Todd, maybe not the result you were looking for, but still, all things considered, with the incident there at the end, not a bad finish for you, points-wise.
Yeah, I'll take it. It was fun all day. I screwed up qualifying, so I had to start in the back and just kind of took my time, and made it up here. And then the Ford decided to cut across and just turn left. I mean, I don't understand. He said somebody was blocking or something, but I just watched the replay. He just totally turned left across my nose. I mean, luckily I saved it, and he saved his, and we kept pedaling. But yeah, that was uncalled for, I think. But like you say, thanks to the team for standing behind me and helping. The whole team's A1, but come out here with a good points day, so I'm proud.
Yeah, and exciting for sure. That was a whale of a save. I know we got excited about that up here in the booth.
Yeah, I just looked. It looked a lot worse than it felt, but it was fun getting it back, and got lucky, kept on going. Got a shout out to, like I say, my guys, Thomas and Chad for all doing good. They all, this whole team, David, everybody. We all, a good day.
Well, good job holding it together there. And nice run, and we'll see you again next week. Points leader, stretching that out a little bit. Got the bonus points at the halfway. So all in all, a good day for you, despite the late race incident there.
Yeah, thanks. Oh yeah, I meant to say something about Levi. He did good, but just circumstance got him where he couldn't get up there. He was pedaling pretty hard himself. But thanks, guys.
Thanks, Todd. Good run.
All right.
I feel like Todd is one of the best interviews out there. He wasn't too happy about Luis. Maybe we'll get a word with Luis here later on, but we're gonna get caught up with Levi. He finished at P2. Like we said, Andrew Rucker. He must have just darted out to the plane, Richard, and flew away. He didn't want to get an interview.
Yeah, Andrew didn't want to spend a little time with us up here in the booth.
We got Levi Rowdy Zielinski finishing P2, and it was I tell you, Levi, it was a hard-earned P2 as you got sideways multiple times off that turn 4. Take us through a little bit of that race tonight.
Honestly, I didn't know if he'd be up there or not tonight. Car was decent in practice, qualified kind of not where I wanted to, but car felt good on the long run. I liked how loose it got. At times a little bit too loose, as I was told by some of my fellow drivers.
We saw you. It seemed like you were maybe faster than Tate at times. I felt like you guys were really even for most of the race. You seemed to close in on them, but how hard was it to work that inside lane coming off of turn 2, coming off of turn 4, when you're side by side with the leader or with anybody in general?
It's really hard when they have that high line. I mean, you couldn't do much. At times it just felt like I wasn't given enough room on the bottom to do what I needed to do, but I mean, that's just racing. We try to give it all, as you can tell, going sideways through half these, I guess, turn 4s trying to get to them, but we just didn't have enough to get it done tonight, which kind of sucks.
Well, you had a front row seat on that restart with about 20 laps to go between Todd and Luis. Man, it was a good job not only from Todd and Luis, but everybody behind them guys. Was it kind of a pucker factor moment for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely let off the gas because I didn't know where they were going, and when I see them starting to slow spin, I just gassed it and tried to get around them and head to Tate. It may cost me a couple extra laps, but I mean, that's what it is for racing. I mean, we came home with a clean car for most of the race.
All right, Levi. Well, good run here tonight. P2. You can't be not happy with that. It's a great run for you guys, and we'll see you at Richmond next week. And your buddy, I think that's your team car, Andrew Rucker, finishing 3rd here tonight. So that's an awesome run for Rebel Racing.
Yeah, it is. It gets us back to that old season that we had a long time ago where we had a good season. So hopefully we can continue that to the Truck Series and hopefully the Cup Series too, along with it.
All right. Take care, Levi, and we'll see you next week at Richmond.
All right. See you guys.
All right, and we're going to bring in Tate Lytle, our winner on 3Wide TV, 3Wide Racing's DD Series. Great run for Tate. We're going to bring him in here. Tate, you got a copy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is it time to pop the champagne bottles?
Oh, it's already started.
It's already started.
Oh, yeah.
Well, from all of us, I know, like I always say, I can't be biased when I'm doing these things, but I'm going to be biased because you won the freaking race. Awesome job, buddy. We're proud of you. And getting that first win, it seemed like, I know this was the 4th race of the season, but it seemed overdue. You're one of the fastest cars every week, but you dominated this race tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I led a lot of laps. Honestly, I thought Louise or Levi was going to get me there, but worked out.
Okay. Well, Tate, man, I think a lot of people thought that the points coming into this race, it seems like Todd had it locked up or Luis had a shot. But now you won the race. You got the 5 bonus points for leading to the halfway. You cut that points lead by quite a bit, I'm guessing, and you're probably down maybe 15 or 16 points. So the championship, it's still within reach. I know Talladega's coming up and Richmond. How's Richmond as far as a track for you guys?
We'll see what setup feels like next week, but shouldn't be too bad, and anything can happen at Talladega.
It's got a big cog.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
My friends are asses.
Well, Richard, well, what do you got to say to Tate?
It sounds like Tate and Nick Foles have something in common at least. That was a good run there. Levi really putting some pressure on you for the last half of that race. It seemed like you guys were pretty even. So nice run. Way to close it out there and put a whole race together.
Thanks, man. I just want to thank Johnny for letting me drive for him. It's been fun so far.
Yeah, it's been a great time, and I say this all the time. It's huge to bring in Tate to JTR. As far as an owner standpoint, we need somebody like that to give us advice, to give us some type of feedback. And Tate's definitely doing that, and he's a contender every week. So, man, great run for you. And at JTR, when we win a race, we never know when we're going to win another one. So we're just going to celebrate for as long as we can.
Hopefully we'll be celebrating the next 3 weeks.
That's right, Tate. Well, good job here tonight, and we'll see you back at Richmond. Take care, buddy. Good win.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
And that's Tate Lytle, your winner, everybody. And I can't contain myself when 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 all that stuff's going on.
It sounds like Tate's roommates like to have a good time.
I don't know who they're talking about. We got Kyle Hanshaw at 11:30, so we got 11:23, so we got some time before the broadcast is over with. Hanshaw, you brought it home. Where did you bring it home? 17th place, so I know it wasn't the run you were looking for. What did you see the last closing laps after that restart?
Nothing really. Nothing out of the usual. Just guys racing hard and whatnot. Yeah, I got screwed on that caution. I thought I was gonna get the lap back because I was headed to pit road, and I had at least had the nose across the line when the caution came out, and went a lap down, and they never got me back, and just kind of got screwed from there. And yeah, in the car all night, we were fighting. It was pushing through the corners and whatnot, but you just had to let off early on corner entry and, just drive it, roll it through the corners and whatnot. But, it was fun to drive. It was a good race.
Yeah, it seemed like you really had to pedal the car throughout the race. It seemed like everybody was on edge for the most part. And guys, this is the 4th race of the year. We're almost over with this thing. We've got 2 races left. I've been having a blast with all you guys, and it seems like every single race so far has just gotten better. I feel like Homestead, this race tonight was awesome.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Racing was it was kind of hard to pass, but once you got on the long runs, cars got a little looser, and guys were making mistakes here and there, and that's when you could really bounce on them and make your move. But all in all, it was a decent night. Just wish we didn't go a lap down, and then almost got wrecked I don't know how many times tonight by certain drivers. So whatever.
And Richard, what's your kind of thoughts based on kind of wrap yourself around this whole race as a whole? You got to be pretty pleased with the outcome of this, and I know, like I said, I had a lot of fun here tonight. What was your thoughts about this race?
Yeah, it was good, hard racing all night. It was good to see. We had a battle for the lead for most of the race, except for the last couple of laps there after Levi ran into his issue, getting loose. But throughout the whole field, even as I was flipping through the field on the iRacing feed, outside of the broadcast feed, just good racing all through the field. Most everybody kept the car underneath them. Not a lot of problems. We had a couple things, but good to see Tate finally be able to finish out a race. And you always go back to Luis. He was leading this race for a little while there in the middle, and then the caution came out and he got beat off pit road, and that kind of led to him getting together with Todd towards the end. So you'd like to see him be able to finish out a race at some point too.
Yeah, and Luis ended up finishing P9, 9th place finish here tonight. So he's definitely, well, he's not pleased again, and we were going to interview Luis, but his mic is muted. so he's not going to be able to get a word with us. But I'd like to say something, and we got, well, here's the leaderboard before I do anything. So we'll go through the leaderboard. Tate Lytle first, Levi Zielinski second, Andrew Rucker, awesome day by Andrew, keeping it clean, P3. Thomas Morris had another clean day, he got fourth. Todd Smith fifth. Richard Hines, P6, good run for Richard, that's his best finish of the year. Chad Brown seventh, David Wilson eighth, Luis Salmasso ninth, and Rusty Webb rounding out the top 10. As you see, Josh Personette finishing 11th, Mike Stevens 12th, Hackathorn 13th, Teal 14th, Sims the 4th. Not the 3rd, not the 2nd, not the 5th. He's the 4th. Michael Whitley 16th, Kyle Hanshaw 17th, 18th, Patrick McCuster 19th. The debut of Jonathan Cogswell ends up 19th, 20th, Skylar Nissel 45 laps down. These are all the guys that got in incidents. Chad Frankenfield, 24th, 21st, Nathan Young, 22nd. And Paul Ross did not race, and Wade Lear did not race as well. So 22 guys in the field tonight. Nathan Young rounding out the field. And like I was going to mention here earlier, we had 22 guys race tonight. We've had 23, 24 on average. And I haven't really seen anybody cause any major problems. I've seen great racing by pretty much everybody. And if you guys are watching this, that race here for the last 4 weeks, I want you guys to be a part of three-wide racing. We could get some huge fields, but also really a quality field if all these guys will join. Registration's open at three-wide racing for either league. You don't have to join both leagues, the Cup and the Truck, but you can join a Cup or you can join a Truck. It doesn't matter. But I feel like you guys, if you're listening right now, there's been some awesome racing going on, and I know Corey welcomes you to three wide. And man, I mean, I've had a blast watching these guys, and I hope they're racing with us in a couple weeks, Richard.
Yeah, just nothing but real good, solid racing for the most part. I mean, we've had a little incidents, but most of them have just been racing deals. Not really anybody doing anything real dumb. And actually, as I'm answering you here, Luis just said that he'd be up for an interview. So you want to get him up here, and we'll talk to him about what happened there with about 20 to go.
Yeah, we'll quick interview. I know it's 11:29, but we'll bring in Luis to do a quick interview. Luis, you got a copy?
Copy.
Yeah, we're interviewing you here from the driver's lot right now, and as we're about 10 minutes after this race has ended, we're going to talk a little bit about that incident there with about 20 laps to go on the restart. And man, that was exciting for us to watch. I'm sure it was disappointing for you, but can you give us a little bit of insight into what happened there with about 19 to go?
I restarted pretty well, right, side by side with Tate, and because he was the leader, he can go a fraction of a second early, so that gives him a little bit of an advantage. He was maintaining a line going into one that was not the top line, like completely against the wall where I was and where Levi was right behind me. And all of a sudden, right when we're diving into the turn, instead of just following the line that he was doing, he moved up. He moved completely in front of my car right as we're diving into the turn. And I have Levi almost pushing me on the back of my car. I had absolutely nowhere to go. So if I kept going straight, I'm wrecking the leader, and someone else coming behind is wrecking me. So I had to go the only place available. I have the wall on the right. I have to go left. Unfortunately, Todd was there. He was not side by side with me. He was a little bit behind, so I couldn't see him where he was. We touched. I did everything that I could not to wreck him any more. He was out of control in front of me, so if I kept going, I would have wrecked him more or spin him out. He was trying to regain the car. So I just let off the gas. When we got to the back stretch, all of a sudden he's in the middle of the lane. There's a lane on the outside. That's where I am. And I get put up against the wall with some language being thrown down in the open channel, saying that there's no way you're going to pass me. You're not going to pass me, and put me in the wall. So I went back. I have the replays. So people are going to, whoever I need to send this to, it will send. I apologize for the touch before that was probably my fault, even though it was where I could go. Unfortunately, he was there. So that for that one, I apologize. But being put on the wall like that in the middle of the front stretch deliberately, when you can see the car going right, pressing you against the wall, I don't think that's called for, especially from someone that already wrecked me out of a win early this year, and just say, yeah, that's racing. So it sucks. That's not how I race. I never put guys on those positions. I lift every time something bad's about to happen, and this is the second time something like this happens. You can be fast, you can be aggressive, you can be all of those things. The moment that you start being fast, if you cannot handle it, there's a problem. And if that's how you're going to deal with it, so when you wrecked me, I said, no worries, bud, that's racing. When I wrecked you, I get put up against the wall in payback mode instantaneously, and someone running their mouth. So we can run another way. We can run another way, and if this is the way things go, I can run someplace else. No, I don't need to be here away from family to be fighting this. So it is what it is. So whoever needs to look at this, they will. I'll send my notes. But that's what it was. Another win that got taken out.
Yeah, we're here with Luis Salmaso. Definitely displeased. Luis, sorry about the finish, the tough deal. And I know we always talk about you just being right on the cusp of victory. It seems like every week and something happened to not go your way, to slip away from you. But we're going to Richmond. It's a short track next week. Do you expect any type of retaliation from you to Todd Smith?
I don't retaliate. That's not how I race. That's not how I drive. So don't plan on being here. So it is what it is. So karma comes back. So it happens in official. It happens in league racing. So if you need to be someone that you're not in order to win a race, there's something wrong. That's not how I am. If this is real life, we sell it in a different way. But you're going to get pissed because it's a video game, dude. This is supposed to be fun. If it stops being fun, you stop doing it. That's pretty simple. So it is what it is. I want to thank you guys for the broadcast. I'm going to come back and watch because the 3/4 of the race that we were able to race, they were fun. And come back and watch and see what happens. Thanks again. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Luis, and hopefully to see you soon, man. So have a good one.
10-4, likewise.
And that was Luis Salmaso. He's never short on words, guys, but he's definitely displeased with Todd Smith.
Yeah, no, we don't have access to the open channel, what's going on there during the race, or maybe we would have gave a question to Todd so he could have a little retort for that. I'm sure he's just excited. At the time, we've all been there. You try not to key the mic, but sometimes you can't help yourself.
It's so easy to hit that button.
Easiest button in the world for sure.
But we're way over, and I'm sure Carlos is angry that it's 11:35 and we haven't went off air yet. But guys, like always, we're having a blast. 3Wide TV. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at 3Wide TV. That is the letter 3 Wide TV, not the number. So at 3Wide TV. Follow us, and we're always open for more business if we'd like it or if the times allow it. So definitely contact us if you're watching and if you'd like us. I know we're trying to do our best job. But we're signing off here tonight. Next week, are we actually racing next week? Because it's the Daytona 500? We are racing next week? Okay, we're scheduled to race next week on Sunday night at Richmond. All this drama leading up to it, going to a short track. Man, Corey did a good job making the schedule. But we'll see you next week at Richmond. Until then, take care. Be safe, everybody. Have a good one.